Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bracket Busters, and today we're going to be discussing the Southern Illinois Edwardsville Cougars. So we do these off-season reviews. I know it's been a little bit, but June was kind of a crazy month. Been traveling, went on vacation, so kind of getting back into the groove of things here to do some more off-season reviews before college basketball starts up here in just a little bit over 100 days. So today we're going to be discussing whether or not the SIUE Cougars can actually win the Ohio Valley, and they've done a lot to improve over the last couple of years. And really, the Ohio Valley honestly has not looked the same since Belmont, Murray State, Jacksonville State, and Austin Peay left, all within the last few years. The void of power has allowed up and coming Morehead State an opportunity to swoop in, but their head coach Preston Spradling took the job at James Madison. Now they're kind of in a rebuilding mode. Some of the additions in Western Illinois and Little Rock have proven valuable. UT Martin's on the rise. They have a new head coach as well, Jeremy Schulman, and I think he's going to keep that trend rolling for them. And even schools like Lindenwood, who just transitioned up to Division One, I think they're starting to build off pretty strong too. So the Ohio Valley is kind of an up and coming conference a little bit. You know, it's been a cup down a few years, but I think that the conference itself will survive. I think some of these schools have enough donors with NIL money that they can try to survive as being one of the smaller conferences in the country. And SIUE is one of these schools. You know, they've been on the rise the last couple of seasons. They've had a rough go at it in Division One. There's absolutely no putting that any other way. Prior to the 2022-2023 season, they had never actually finished with more than 12 wins. They never finished above 500. However, the last couple of seasons here, underneath head coach Brian Barone, they've started to turn around a little bit. So they finished 19-14 in the 2022-2023 season. They finished 9-9 and were allowed to appear within the Ohio Valley Conference tournament. And then last season, they finished 17-16 overall on the season, and again, 9-9 in Ohio Valley. So back-to-back 500 seasons in conference, back-to-back seasons over 500 overall, and that was good enough again for the Ohio Valley tournament. So they've been able to appear in the conference tournament back-to-back years, trending upward. They got some really solid players. They had a player I'm going to talk about here in a little bit just transfer to Oregon State because he was that good. So it's this team that's really up and coming, and they have a strong little fan base going on here. So, you know, I think that this is a team that's going to be able to prove to have a pretty high ceiling this coming season. So, honestly, let's just get into it because, in my opinion, I think the Cougar fans have something exciting to be looking forward to. So, looking at the roster overview, let's recap who's returning on the roster. They're returning 6 players. Eddie Tirado, Rayshon Taylor, who one of my favorite players in all of mid-major basketball, Desmond Polk, Brian Taylor II, Jordan Pickett, and Arnis Sakinis. So they're returning those 6 guys. Let's talk about who they've added now on top of that via the transfer portal, because they've had to dig a little deep here into some different thinking outside the box to find some solid players that were kind of underlooked by Division One. They have 3 JUCO players coming in. They have Miles Thomas. He's coming from Barton College. Ring Maleth coming from Barton College as well. They have Jordan Hamilton coming out of the College of Southern Idaho. Those 3 JUCOs. They have 2 players coming in from Division II. They have Jameer Price coming in from Minnesota State Moorhead. And then they have Declan Dillon coming in from Winona State. So 2 Division II transfers and 3 JUCO transfers. And they have 2 coming in from D1. They have Darian Baker, who's a redshirt freshman at Akron, very highly regarded 3-star recruit coming out of high school, top 10 recruit from Illinois. And they also have Kyle Thomas coming in from Bradley. Started out his career his freshman year at Eastern Illinois, had a pretty solid freshman year, transferred up to the Missouri Valley at Bradley on a very good Bradley team. They don't see as much playing time, so he's now coming back and returning to the Ohio Valley on a SIUE Cougars team. They also have one incoming player that's a freshman. They have Cham Oki. Talk briefly about him. I couldn't honestly find a whole lot of information. He's at Phoenix Prep. He's 6'6", with pretty good size. He seems like a versatile scorer. I found a couple of recruiting videos on him, but SIUE is their only Division I offer, but still decent pickup for a school like SIUE. They did lose a decent amount of players. They lost the Wright brothers, who SIUE fans know and love these guys. They played all 5 seasons at SIUE together. And they lost Shamar and Lamar. Shamar averaged 14.1 points. Lamar averaged 9.7 points. So that's 2 big losses. They also lost DeMarco Minor. He's the player I mentioned previously that transferred to Oregon State. He averaged 15.5 points, 8.5 rebounds, 3.1 assists, and 1.1 steals per game. So it's 3 very solid players. DeMarco Minor was like next level good. And both the Wright brothers were blood-breathing SIUE basketball. So it's tough to lose those 2. I know fans are sad about that one, but they were ineligibility. DeMarco Minor very obviously has next level talent, so he's going to transfer up to Oregon State. They lost a couple other guys. They lost Ethan Yancey and Dorian Staples. They were a couple bench pieces. They transferred to Division II and Division III schools. And then Terrence Thomas and Adola Sion they have not committed anywhere. Adeola has not really didn't play a whole lot. Terrence Thompson is, in my opinion, outside of the Wright brothers and Minor, being the biggest loss for them. He averaged 5.6 points, 4.1 rebounds, 1.1 assists, 1 block per game. So it's always tough to lose production like that you can trust playing in your rotation pretty consistently. So, like I said, in terms of losses for the Cougars, there's no doubt they're going to miss Minor. There's no doubt they're going to miss the Wright brothers. Minor was an underrated find. He started out at JUCO, he was leading South Suburban College to an undefeated season in the first JUCO Division II championship. At SIUE, he didn't disappoint. Freshman year, or his first year there, he averaged 14.3 points, and like I said, he averaged 15.5 last season. Totally stepped up the rebounding game, averaging 8.5. So now he's headed to Oregon State. No doubt, he's a good player there. They're going to miss the Wright brothers. They combined for 23.8 points combined last season. Outside those three, Terrence Thomas, like I mentioned, he's a crucial piece in the rotation. He's not announced where he's going to head yet. So, kind of diving into who they have added, I know I've done, if you follow me on Twitter, if you follow me if you're on our Discord channel or anything like that, you know that I have mentioned that these small schools and these smaller conferences like the Ohio Valley and the Southland and these smaller conferences in the country neck, they're going to have to rely on going out and finding players in lower division ranks in JUCO that can play at the Division I level in order to compete. Because in reality, with the NIL money, these kids like DeMarco Minor are going to get scooped up by bigger schools. Unless they're just truly loyal, like someone like Rayshawn Taylor, who has the ability to go play somewhere else, but has decided to still stick around. This is his fourth season at SIUE, even though he has next-level talent. So you're going to have to get creative and go out and find these kids. And I think they're fitting right into these molds. Like I mentioned, they have 3 JUCO kids coming in. They got 2 kids coming out of Division II, and then 2 more Division I, kind of underrated player on Bradley, who didn't get much playing time, and then another that was a redshirt at Akron and pretty highly regarded coming out of high school. So they had to go out and find these kids. Miles Thompson, Ring Mouth, they're both coming out of one of the most successful JUCOs in the country. They're coming out of Barton College. The team last year went an insane 36-1. They proceeded to defeat Triton College in the Division I JUCO championship this last March. Mouth is a stud. I'm pumped about this guy. I think he's going to provide immediate impact for the Cougars. He's coming in at 6'9", provides great size, not just the presence in the paint. He can shoot three-point as well. He shot over 47% overall and 38% from beyond the arc. That's very impressive for a guy at 6'9". He's pretty much like a very oversized shooting guard, small forward. He's going to fit great into that rotation for them. I'd love to see him rebound a little bit more, the size, but given that he's a high-scoring threat, I think he'll help fill that void that DeMarco Minor is leaving. So I think he's going to really probably fit in that small forward position, oversized small forward position. Let me add that. So you got to keep in mind too that most schools don't have a 6'9" guy playing the 3. So being able to have him come in at that oversized at that position is going to be a huge addition for the Cougars. I'm pumped about this guy, and as you can see from some of his highlights I'm going to be playing while filming this video, he's a stud. Super pumped about him. Miles Thompson, again, he's coming out of Barton College, so he's been teammates with Ring. So he's more of a true power forward. He's going to be a great inside presence for the Cougars. He averaged 14 points per game, shot 40% overall. He also grabbed 6.7 rebounds. So he kind of fills that, the other Thompson that left, he kind of fills that void where like somebody's averaging 5 rebounds per game. So he's kind of taking in that spot and replacing him pretty evenly and taking an elevated ability to score. So he can finish in the paint. There's no doubt about that. I'd love to see him impact on the boards a little bit more, on blocking a little bit more. He's 6'7". If you're going to play that power forward position, now again, like him and Ring, it's almost kind of like reversed, right? Like Ring's almost like an oversized guard, oversized shooting, or small forward, because he has the ability to shoot outside, shooting from 3-point. He's 6'9", Thompson's 6'7", playing more at 4, so you're kind of like reversing those two. I'd love to see Thompson maybe step it up a little bit defensively and be able to alter those shots, because they're going to need a guy like that can go in. Because otherwise, if you are getting 8-11 in paint, which I don't think he is because he's a very good rebounder. So, that's one area that I'd love to see him kind of take that next step on to try to improve on going into next season. Cool story, too. If you read the article that I posted on Substack, I have a video linked in there where he is actually discussing a injury that he had, where he pretty much almost had to give up basketball altogether. So in 2022-2023 season, he appeared in just 2 games. Came back last season, appeared in all 37 games, started all 37 games for Barton, helped him lead them to their championship. So these 2 guys coming out of Barton are beautiful finds. I'm glad that they've stuck together, and I'm glad that they both went to SIUE. I think this is going to be 2 big additions for him. So coming out of the College of Southern Idaho is Jordan Hamilton. I think he's going to be a nice bench piece He only appeared in 15 games, started 4 for the Golden Eagles. He averaged 7.4 points, 3.7 rebounds, but let me add, he did this on just 16 minutes per game. So at 6'6", he provides some nice size at the 2-3 positions, shooting guard, small forward. His best game of the season came against Utah State Eastern. He shot 7-14 from the floor for 20 points, 7 rebounds, and wait for it, in just 20 minutes. So the dude can score, no doubt about that. Obviously, he can rebound at 6'6". He's got some nice size there. I think, who knows, maybe he actually ends up starting. I don't know what the head coach Barone's planning for here, but I think he's got that potential to really make an impact on the rotation. So, kind of diving into Division II transfers, Jameer Rice is an excellent pickup. His first 2 seasons at Minnesota State Moorhead, he immediately helped bring the school to be one of the best seasons in history for the school. The Dragons finished the season last year ranked number 2 in the country. He averaged 14.5 points, 4 rebounds, 2.5 assists per game. He's a veteran guard. He's coming in as grad transfer, where he'll certainly slot in as an important piece for SIUE. He's not much of a 3-point threat. He shot just 27.6% on 27 and 98 shooting. So, where he lacks in 3-point shooting, he makes up in, being able to shoot and finish around the rim. He did shoot 41.8% overall, and obviously that's including the rather rough 27.6% shooting from beyond the arc. So very clearly, he's a good scorer. He can create baskets. He can create momentum going forward. He actually spent a season in Division I. He spent the 2022-2023 season at Cleveland State. He did average 1.2 points, 1.1 rebounds, and 7.3 minutes per game, and he appeared in 25 games for them. But he bet on himself. He transferred down to Division II to prove that he was Division I material. And hey, look, it worked out. He's looking to help it lead SIUE to a 3rd consecutive winning season. And, as you can see from some of his highlights from when he was at Mineral Area College a few seasons ago, that he very clearly has the talent for Division I. Declan Dillon is kind of an underrated pickup in my opinion. His stats aren't going to blow you away. He's kind of a player that's more of like a stat sheet stuffer. So he spent 4 seasons at Winona State. So first of all, spent a lot of time down there, and every single year he's produced, and kind of just across the board. When I look at some of his points, let's just kind of read these off here. So last season he averaged 6.7 points per game, but he also averaged 4.7 rebounds and 3.7 assists per game. So this dude's not going to drop 30 on you, but he's going to do little things. He's just 6'1", but he's feisty. If I had to make a comparison, and I'm not saying that these two have the same caliber of ability, because they don't, but he reminds me a lot of TJ McConnell for the Pacers, where it's he's undersized, but he's a hustler. He's going to get you points, he's going to get you boards, and he can pass the ball. So he's kind of like the do-it-all guy. Perfect guy you want coming off the bench, or even starting in some cases for games. So I'm pumped to watch him. I think he's going to be a lot of fun and a ball of energy for this team. The last 2 transfers I mentioned, one's coming in from Akron and Bradley, and Darian Baker and Kyle Thomas. Baker redshirted last season at Akron, but he's a massive pickup for SIUE. He's 6'8", he's got great size. Coming out of high school, he was a top 10 recruit coming out of Illinois. He had several offers from some top-tier mid-majors in the country. He had Akron, Radford, Missouri State, Drake, Woolford, Indiana State, Toledo, Illinois State, Appalachian State, St. Louis, and more. They had 24/7 Sports had him listed as a 3-star, and so it's a tremendous pickup where Baker's going to be looking to prove that he has the high-end potential. Some of these guys go to a place like Akron, they don't play. They're saying, well, you know what? I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to transfer down to the Ohio Valley because there's no doubt the MAC's a better conference. I'm going to transfer down there. Let's say he plays 2 years here. He goes off. He can transfer up to a higher level. We've been seeing that a lot recently. Kyle Thomas is coming in from Bradley, where he gained some nice experience in one of the best mid-major conferences in the country as a freshman. He played at Eastern Illinois. He played in 29 games, averaging 5.9 points and 3.7 rebounds, just 13 minutes per game. He saw his playing time diminish when he did transfer up to Bradley. He averages 2.1 points, 0.9 rebounds, and just 5.8 minutes per game. He's got a strong ability to start and be an impact player on the boards. At 6'10", he'll provide the Cougars with some great size and scoring ability. Inside, he shot 45.7% overall. He's a great finisher, and he's already proven experience in the Ohio Valley as an impact player on Eastern Illinois. So there's no doubt that coming in with another 2 years underneath his belt, he's going to be an impact player for SIUE as well. The guy that I don't know a whole lot about is Cham Oki. I couldn't really find a whole lot of information. As I mentioned, he's a freshman. He's coming out of Phoenix Prep. He wasn't really highly recruited. SIUE was his only Division I offer I could find. He's 6'6". I found a kind of mixtape video of him from high school. He seems solid, and Coach Barone's very high on him. If you read some of his comments about him, he calls him a versatile scorer and thinks he's going to be a big piece. He flew up to Phoenix 3 times just to see him play. So very clearly, they see something in him, and again, I can really find a whole lot of information about him. So, but, that's another piece that he might redshirt, might be coming off the bench. Who knows? My biggest, again, I mentioned earlier, Rayshon Taylor is one of my favorite players to watch in all of college basketball. Him returning is a huge positive for SIUE. I've actually been able to watch him play in person a few times, and he's a legitimate high mid-major player, borderline. He could probably play in a lower power conference. What's crazy is he actually kind of had a down year last year. He averages 13.6 points, 3.6 rebounds, 2.8 assists, and 1.2 steals per game as a junior. His freshman year, he's also insane stat lines. He averaged 17.6 points, 5 rebounds, 3.2 assists, and 1.8 steals per game. So you might look at that and actually see that from his freshman, sophomore, junior year, his stats have gone down. But there's a reason for that. They added DeMarco Minor. So DeMarco Minor came in. Taylor, as a freshman, Taylor didn't have him. He was kind of the go-to guy for the Cougars. So he virtually had to do everything. So when you added Minor, the team's record went up because now you have Minor and Taylor coming in and being able to kind of split the time and being the guys. And obviously you had the Wright brothers as well coming in there helping there. So you had 4 guys that were scoring threats. And so as a result, of course, Taylor's stats went down. But again, that's not a Taylor issue. That is a sign that SIUE improved over the course of him starting as freshman, going into his junior year, that they improved as a team overall, so he just didn't have a reason to be the guy averaging 18 points a game. Because sometimes when you are doing that, that's a sign that your team might not be as high caliber as you. So you're having to be the go-to guy doing all the scoring, everything pretty much for the team itself. Last year, Taylor was even invited to the NCAA Men's Basketball Elite Student Athlete Symposium. That's a mouthful, man. He's just one of 14 players invited to meet former NBA players, high-tier NCAA staffers, and others. He's able to learn about furthering his career professionally. So he definitely has next level of talent. I'm glad that he's chosen to stay at SIUE, and he's going to be a dagger of a piece for them coming in next season, especially with losing Minor. So now we kind of run through some of the roster changes that they've had. Let's just kind of discuss the preseason expectations. So looking at the Ohio Valley as a whole, you had Morehead State, UT Martin. They were part of a 3-way tie. They both have lost their head coaches, and they have first-year head coaches coming in. Little Rock last season is completely dismantled in transfer portal. If you look at the verbal commits, it's awful. They lost their best player in KK Robinson. He hasn't announced where he's going yet, but he played at A&M and Arkansas previously. They lost Tony Gordon. He transferred to Southern Mississippi, and they lost Jameer Chaplin, who's out of eligibility. It's their 3 top players. They're all gone. And the majority of their team transferred, so it's a little brutal for them. Western Illinois is returning the top performer in Ryan Myers. However, they did lose 2 out of 3 top scorers. And again, so did SIUE. They lost the Wright brothers, and then they lost Minor as well, but they kept Rayshon Taylor. So kind of similar both there, where they kept a high-caliber guy, but they lost some other pieces. Tennessee Tech, Southern Indiana, and Linwood, they all have a long way to go still, so I'm kind of not too worried about them. SEMO's picked up some intriguing pieces in the portal. They had a horrendous season last year, but I think this is going to help them build back towards being kind of middle of the pack. Head coach Brian Collins, he always finds a way to build solid teams at Tennessee State. I expect no different coming in this next season. He pretty much has an entirely new team, so I'm excited to see what they do. And Marty Simmons seems to have Eastern Illinois trending in the right direction. They had their best season since 2020 last year. And he also has pretty much an entirely new team coming in. So them and Tennessee State are kind of in a similar boat. And Little Rock will be once they find players. I think they're still piecing together a roster. But once those two are kind of coming up with new teams, who knows what they'll really be like, but I would anticipate that they'll be fine. So really, what does all this mean? The Ohio Valley is wide open in my opinion. So anything less than a top 4 finish for SIUE, I think, would be disappointing. With Rayshon Taylor returning and now 3 years under his belt, it's going to be the year that they could do something special. Obviously, losing Minor hurts, but they went outside the box. They found guys. They dipped in JUCO, dipped in Division II. They found some diamonds in the rough from Division I. I honestly would say that the ceiling would be maybe even seeing their first NCAA tournament appearance. I don't want to book that, and I'll explain why here in a little bit. But SIUE is building a really nice non-conference schedule. They've scheduled Green Bay, Ball State, Western Michigan, and Canisius so far. So I'm curious to see how the rest of their non-conference schedule shapes out. That kind of tells probably what their record's going to look like going into conference play. But it looks like maybe they're scheduling mostly just mid-major. So the Cougars have a good opportunity to have a pretty good non-conference here. Because again, when you're in the Ohio Valley, the odds of getting in that large bid isn't too big. So being able to play people that are of your relative size, like some of these schools that they've scheduled already, is going to be great for them to be able to help boost their record. So on the floor, Cougars have height. They've got Kyle Thomas, Ring Darian Baker, Orlando Sakinas, and Miles Thompson. So they have all those guys. They have elite scoring, Brayshawn Taylor and Malif as well. They got guys like Baker, Thompson, Taylor, and Jameer Price that can be your go-to offense. Others like Declan Dillon and Jordan Hamilton have potential to be impact players as well, coming in off the bench or in the starting lineup when needed. So I'm putting a lot of stock into Darian Baker. Talent's clearly there, so if he can tap into it, that's the redshirt freshman from Akron, who's a 3-star, highly regarded out of Illinois. If he can tap into that talent, it's going to be huge for SIUE. It's going to be a big bonus for them. I haven't even highlighted some of the talent outside Brayshawn Taylor that is returning. Desmond Polk's returning for his final season after posting career high 4.2 points, 2.3 rebounds per game last season in nearly 19 minutes per game. 6'4", he's an excellent option coming off the bench. He shot 41% from the floor and 36% from three. So he's, with him, pairing them up with like Hamilton and Dillon, it's going to be some nice pieces coming off. One guy that I'm really curious about, I haven't really gotten to see him too much, is Arnis Sakinas. So he's returning, and he nearly doubles his impact from his freshman year. As a sophomore, he averaged 3.3 points, 2.5 rebounds, and 1.1 blocks. But the reason I'm emphasizing the 1.1 blocks is he averages 12 minutes per game. He did appear in 27 games. At 6'11", he's got great size. He should be a nice rotation piece. If he can take another step forward, let's say an average like 5 points, 5 rebounds, and a block per game, that's huge coming off the bench for a guy at 6'11". Plus 2, he's a walk-on. So pretty cool story and pretty impressive stuff coming in from Sakinas. Brian Taylor, Jordan Pickett, and Eddie and Tirado, Jesus, all played roles on the team last year. Taylor appeared in 30 games, Pickett 16, and Tirado at 21. So you combine them with Polk, Hamilton, Sakinas, Dillon. That's a super deep bench. And again, some of the guys might start, like someone like Dillon, they might slide in, or whatever the case may be, but that's a really deep bench coming in for the Cougars. So there's really no doubt this team's going to be able to score, but I do believe that there'll also be stout on the defensive end as well. Most people don't know who SIUE is going to be at the start of the year, but I do believe that they're going to be able to shock some people, and they're going to be able to shock the Ohio Valley as well. My largest concern is probably going to be their three-point shooting. However, I don't think it's going to be detrimental. I've done some other offseason reviews, and I'm like, oh yeah, that team's horrible on defense. It's going to kill them. I don't think three-point shooting is going to really murder them here. Brayshawn did knock down for 36.7%. Jameer Rice was pretty impressive for me on the arc. Obviously, shot over 40. So the starting lineup won't be the issue, but I'm more concerned about how they have to rely on coming off the bench. Polk did shoot 36.2%. I think he'll be their best option coming off. But Taylor's he only shot 23%. Tirado 32%, but he only attempted 31. Dillon 32%, but he only attempted 46. So on. It's guys who, on paper their percentages don't look bad, but then they really didn't take that many shots. So you really don't know. If you have people coming in playing 20 minutes game, they take 130s. Are they really going to hit 30 or are they going to hit 20? So, you really just don't know what you're fully going to get at that point in time yet. And again, I don't think it's detrimental. I think it's just something to keep an eye on. So with the combined returning talent and the additions in the portal, I do see SIUE finishing probably top 4 in the Ohio Valley. I think their ceiling is winning the Ohio Valley. I think the floor is 4th place. Because given the turnover that the Ohio Valley's had this year in Morehead State, UT Martin, and Little Rock, that's 3 of your top tiers. I think UT Martin will be fine. I think Morehead State will probably end up being fine. Western Illinois is going to come back and return and be fine. I think them with SIUE is probably going to be your top 4 teams, if I had to guess. Obviously SEMO could come out and improve. And again, Tennessee State and Eastern Illinois have pretty much entirely new teams. Little Rock's can also have pretty much an entirely new team. So, and we don't really know much what that roster is still going to look like yet. So you don't really know fully what's going to get, but I would say a top 4 finish is probably going to be realistic for them. It's what fans should probably expect. So at this point in time, though, I'm not really comfortable saying that, X team's going to be the conference winner because it's July 2024 and you're predicting something that's going to happen in 2025. So it's not really fair for me to say, SIUE can go win the Ohio Valley. I do think that they have a chance. I think that is their ceiling. I think the ceiling's high. Some teams I'm going to sit here and say, their ceiling's 6th place, ceiling's 4th place. But I do think that they do have a chance to actually win this conference if they play up to their potential. So for me, I know I'm going to be watching a lot of teams. I watch a lot of games with SIUE. I encourage you to as well. I know Cougar fans have a lot of stuff to be excited about. So what do you all think? I'll let you comment down below whether you think SIUE is going to be a good team or not next year. What's going on, guys? I just also want to plug here that we are running a promotion through Bracket Busters. So if you actually go down into the link below into our Substack, you'll see on all of our articles that we actually post that if you use the code Bracket Busters, as with both B's capitalized, when checking out at Crow's Nest Coffee Roasters online, which the link will also be down below, you will receive 10% off your order. Also, highly recommend overall that you go to our Substack and subscribe to our newsletters. They are our primary source of how you get information from us. We are starting to explore a little bit more into the video space here on YouTube and other channels. And I recommend that you go to Substack. That's always going to be the first place that we post our new media. So if you're a fan of college basketball, if you're a fan of mid-majors, go to Substack, check us out, give us a subscribe button. I would super appreciate it. Thank you all.